What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Drew Drake, up in the building, and I'm joined by Mr. David Wise for another edition of Locked On Seminoles, your first listen each and every day, and your favorite daily Florida State Seminoles sports podcast. Dave, tell the people what we're talking about today.
Well, we got a new transfer today, Drake. We're going to be talking about new running back transfer, Trey Benson. That conversation could go any number of places, talking about possibly what's left in the class, what we think of the coaches, and the take of a running back transfer. And then, of course, we got to end with a recently resurgent Florida State basketball.
As you are so right about that. Actually, we're recording this right now, actually, as the Duke game is going on. But thank you so much for love and support, guys, as always. And without further ado, let's get on with the show.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another edition of Locked On Seminoles. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's your boy, Drew Drake, as I said earlier at the top of the show. I am joined by Mr. David Wise. Davey, what's good and good looking? It's been a while.
Loving this cold weather, Drake. It's my time of the year. I don't like it when it's too hot. Can only take so many clothes off. Can always put more clothes on.
Yeah, you are a snowbird, man. But we are not here to talk about the Weather Channel or the weather how it feels right now. That's a different podcast for a different day. We're here to talk about actually Florida State officially landing four-star transfer running back Trey Benson out of the portal from the Oregon Ducks. And yesterday, Max and I kind of touched on how he felt of the recruitment of Trey Benson. And Dave, I kind of want to get your take on it, like how you feel about this take, and then also how do you feel that FSU is going to be able to utilize him in this offense?
Okay. I want to start this off by saying I don't want to root against anybody that comes to play football for Florida State, especially on scholarship. I want everybody that comes here to do good because I want our team to get better, because I want our team to be as good as possible. This take confuses me. It's not that the running back room was so well settled. We talked last week about that we weren't sure exactly what it was going to look like as a rotation. But also, it's not like we were so devoid of any running backs in the room that we had to take one. In fact, it was probably one of the lowest positions of need in the entire class. So we take a running back. Okay, well, that's questionable in and of itself to me, but it's not just that. If we're going to take a running back, you think we're going to take one with a lot of production, hopefully. Okay, so this guy, he's only played 1 year, not a lot of production. Okay, whatever. Maybe the potential's there. Well, you think to yourself then next, okay, well, he's got to have 2 healthy knees, right? No, not right. So we take a guy who I hope he kills it at Florida State, but to this point is at a position we didn't need to take with not a lot of production coming in and injuries to overcome. I really don't understand it, and we'll get to this later probably, but there's other positions that I keep scratching my head about whether the coaches understand we have needs at.
Yeah, no, I think it kind of echoes some sentiment of me and Max, I think, from yesterday, where that if you were going to take a running back, where I'm in the opposite camp, I actually do think you need to take a running back to replace someone like a Tristan Corbin. I'm still of the belief that I think Tristan Ward needs like another full year before he can actually take a stranglehold on the RB1 position. But you're not the only one in your camp. I think Dupree Hundo, I think, has commented several times where you have a very solid backfield with Ward, Lawrence Teofili, and Ja'Kai Douglas as well, coming out of the
Rodney
backfield.
Hill coming in.
And Rodney Hill coming in. But to me, I am skeptical about, he is coming off a big knee injury. I think he said to himself that everything was torn, I think, besides his PCL. But to me, Max made a good point yesterday where when you do your lateral movements, that's typically what's mainly if you're kind of that scattish back, the kind of versatile, electric, or LaDainian Thomas kind of back. But he's not. He's more of the bulldozer, the 215 pounds, 6'1". He's a bowling ball. He runs downhill. And to me, that's something that I'm actually fine with. And also, for one of the few things that Mike Norvell has been really good at and shown is that he actually does have an eye for high quality running backs.
He does, but what you just described in what he provides as a running back, I feel like we literally have that on the roster. DJ Williams, we haven't seen a lot of him either. What we have seen of him, especially in spring last year, was just eye-popping to me. During the season, he didn't get a lot of looks. So he a lot like Benson, is kind of unproven in terms of what they can do at Florida State, though the potential's there. I just don't understand why the need for duplicity there when, for example, we don't have a backup quarterback.
And we'll touch on that actually probably in the next segment, but I do kind of understand how you kind of have two power backs. But the thing is, maybe there are rumblings around that, the running back room might not be having all the players that we have currently on there. We all know there's going to be more attrition in the portal after tour duty finishes up. After the spring game, I just saw last year. I mean, Dylan Gibbons was a transfer that came in. He didn't come in until May 10th. And Andrew Parchman also didn't come in until probably, July, I think, at the earliest, I think it was. So to me, this is someone that you kind of take a risk on for developmental purposes. But like I said yesterday, I don't know if Mike Norvell has enough time for that. So then I kind of want to ask you then before we move on to the remaining needs for the entire team. What do you think? How do you think we're going to actually utilize a Trey Benson? Do you think we're going to bring him slowly along and kind of get him acclimated to the playbook? Do you see him as like one of the goal line backs, kind of how we had Jason Corbin in the Wildcat kind of offense? Like, what do you see with Trey Benson? Because before he was there, he was a dynamite in high school and he played pretty well at Oregon.
No, for sure. Yeah. If you watch his high school tape, he was super explosive too, which for a bigger guy is awesome. It reminds you a lot of Jason Corbin in that regard, a bigger guy that can still move. But I don't know. The happening of DJ Williams this last year confuses me because I thought he was going to get an awful lot of playing time, especially not knowing Trayshawn Ward would play the way he did. Jason Corbin has moved on. There is, like we talked about last week, kind of a hole at the RB1 position. We don't know exactly, I don't think, who the starter is in Mike Norvell's mind, or if there is a definitive starter. I think Ward is, but I'm not sure. So I think there's definitely going to be, if he's healthy, opportunities to get in the rotation. But I mean, if it's anything like DJ Williams, I don't expect him to get a ton of carries. And if he is getting a ton of carries, then obviously Norvell can take a victory lap because he was very right. Or we've had huge problems at the position because it's like 4 deep right now. Rodney Hill, I feel like was a good running back taking this class. I'd like to see him. I don't know how we're going to.
Do you really want to see an 18-year-old with and we've already said numerous times how Lawrence Philly didn't, put on the weight. He was very, smaller for stature for a running back. Do you really want to see an 18-year-old just jump right in there right away above a Lawrence Philly for a kind of similar reason?
Well, look, I mean, again, we don't know who RB1 is. We do know that Jordan Travis is going to run the ball a lot. So we already have kind of a run game that we know to exist. The question is going to be, what do we do to supplement the run game that our quarterback creates? I don't know. We have 5 guys in the room now to, I guess, figure it out. Trayshawn Ward, I think I have a good idea about. Aside from that, I don't know. I don't know that this adds anything to the room that we didn't already have. I hope it does. I really do. I just don't think it does.
I think we all do. I mean, we do already have a very solid, capable, quality of backs, as we said before. I just think that Trey Benson probably does give you a little bit more depth, but I kind of do agree with you where I would have liked to grab somebody like, a bigger name, but as people have pointed out, like, you're not going to get big names like a Noah Kane. You're not going to get big names like a Trey Sanders, who people are saying is going to enter the portal, but most likely he's not going to enter the portal. You're not going to get a Henry Parrish. You're not going to get those big names because it's basically just because you want a kid doesn't mean a kid wants to go to play for you right now, especially with the state of the program right now.
Yeah, well, again, let's get to it next segment after the break, but we had other positions we could have taken players at: quarterback, offensive line, linebacker. I just don't get it.
Oh, we'll discuss that. But before we do, folks, let me tell you about our friends over at Built Bar. Dave, what's your favorite flavor of Built Bar, by the way? Tell the folks now.
Cookie dough, always, everything.
He loves cookie dough, anything, whether it be toothpaste, whether it be Built Bars, whether it be ice cream. He is a big cookie dough kind of guy. I'm a Cherry Barcia boy myself. And then, Max is a peanut butter brownie kind of guy. But if you don't like those 3, there are 19 delicious flavors to choose from. I also got a text message from Built Bar themselves telling me that the churro puffs are now back on sale. And your boy's about to grab some of those. So head over to builtbar.com and use promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 for 50% off your order. And once again, go to built.com, promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off of your order today. And we're back. And now, Dave, you've alluded to several times how you feel that there are other remaining needs on this team. And I kind of agree with you there. And I am of the belief that we should not be done with the portal. And honestly, we shouldn't be done until probably around June. So what do you see as remaining needs actually for this team moving forward?
Well, The biggest elephant in the room that for the life of me, I just don't understand is the backup quarterback position. It is ideal if we get a backup quarterback and they never see a snap, because that means Jordan Travis has both played well and stayed healthy. Hopefully we get somebody that never plays. However, Jordan Travis has shown that he's going to put his whole body on the line just about every play and probably going to get hurt at some point doing it. So it is imperative that we get a backup quarterback who can go in and compete to win games, not just literally be a warm body taking the snap behind center and hopefully not getting killed before the end of the play. I mean, when Jordan Travis wasn't in the game this past year, it it felt like we knew we weren't going to win, or we weren't trying to because we knew we couldn't. That can't be the case next year because this is a put up or shut up year for Mike. And given that, it's really confusing to me that we've seen several quarterbacks into the portal, and it seems like not only have we not, obviously we haven't landed one, it just seems like we haven't shown any interest or identified the need to really focus on that position. And it just confuses the hell out of me. There's some more positions, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's second and third if quarterback isn't first for you. But yeah, that's number one for me.
Yeah, to me, I think QB is number one on the list primarily because we do need a competent backup to actually, just in case JT does go down. To me, the one big thing with JT has all the talent in the world with his legs. He did prove a lot of people, including myself and you two,
Yep.
with his arm. I would like to see him throw a little more anticipation, but that's something that also he can learn over an offseason. I just don't know if he's ready to be able to play a full season fully healthy or even close to fully healthy and be able to play every single game, because you're right. The offense didn't just perform poorly when he was out of the game. The offense was not existent.
Surrendered.
That's a better way to put it. The offense surrendered when he wasn't in the game. He's very integral to the success of this team and Mike Norvell's tenure at Florida State. And then behind that, I would love another tackle to come in personally. I do think the offensive line, because we saw last year when the offensive line was fully healthy and all together, they were decent. They actually were pretty solid. But when one person went down, you had people shuffling out, people shuffling to other spots. You had Bray Scott in the game too as well. I think Murray Smith played a lot of the games super hurt. Same thing with Robert Scott. So I would love to see another lineman taken out of the portal, just maybe even for a depth piece, because I would love for someone, or maybe a swing lineman, because I would love for be able to not to start panic or not to start throwing out some plays from the playbook when someone goes down the offensive line.
Yeah, you can never have too many good offensive linemen. And I think we're going to continue to do a lot of figuring out as Atkins shapes this unit up. But offensive linemen are going to get injured. That's almost a guarantee. You're just not going to have your starting five out there for the whole year. And again, just like the quarterback position, we got to be able to put guys in there where when they're in, we know we can't run a certain play, or we know we can't run to a certain side or throw to a certain side. Can't let that happen in a, again, put up or shut up year for Mike. Beyond offensive line, there's still more. It's not like it's just quarterback, offensive line, right? Like, we took Tatum Bethune at the linebacker spot. That was a great pickup. I expect him to start right away. That's not it, though. That doesn't solve the linebacker position. Not only just a depth issue, but I still don't think all of our starters are where we'd like them to be. So I would love to see us take another linebacker transfer that can compete for a starting job.
I agree with that. I actually do love the pickup from Tatum Bethune. I was with my brother this past weekend. He's a UCF grad, and I actually love everything about Tatum Bethune. He was probably going to be their defensive captain this coming year, actually at UCF before he actually did transfer out. I would love another pickup because I do love Kalen DeLoach. I think DJ Lundy, I think, is starting to round out for his specific role as a thumper around the middle. And then you have Amar Gainer for good depth, but I would love just one more piece of the puzzle. I would say maybe another defensive end, primarily just for depth issues, for also just continually rotating players in and out. I will agree that Jared Verse is a slam dunk of a get. That's a kid that is going to be a monster and a terror in the trenches for years and years to come. So for me, like we said, I think QB is number one. I would love for us to go out and grab this. I was perplexed that we didn't go out and grab a Casey Thompson, because he's a very similar skill set. Casey Thompson was the Texas quarterback that just committed to Nebraska. That's someone I would have loved to grab, but it goes for me: QB, offensive lineman, linebacker, and then another defensive end piece.
And I was just gonna say, I want to continue that little exercise. Keep that list going. What is the list of absolute top position of need to very bottom? I want you to finish this list.
Okay, so we had QB, lineman, linebacker, defensive end. I would like a tight end, honestly.
Yep.
I think it's another one too.
Keep going.
But I think Johnny Wilson can fill that out a lot more better than most wideouts. I think he's a really, really damn good player. Probably after that, I would probably go kicker. Because a special teams thing, I think is something that kind of has bugged us for a very long time. And then maybe last DB, because I love the young DBs we have. Isaiah Thomas, I think is going to be a steal come for our next
So
year.
that's last. Is you've just named from top to bottom, right? You still left something out. So it's even last than last. It's running back. That's the whole friggin' point of what I'm saying.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Less than last. Jesus Christ.
Well, I did that because now we have a running back, Dave. So we're good. We have 4 running backs, and we have
The
we have
list looked the same yesterday.
and we have a PW of Cedar Campbell who's going to be the next creation on War, bro. We're going to be good. We're going to be solid. But I do get your point though, where like I think Mike understands that he does need to do a little more with the portal. It's just it feels kind of weird the way he's prioritizing certain positions, because I do think better QB play is going to make us to a 9-win team next year. I think right now we had the potential to be an 8-win team. That's kind of what we did in our exercise yesterday. But 9 wins, I think, is a lot more easily attainable if we have a backup quarterback and competitive QB that could supplant Jordan Travis, even though I do love Jordan Travis coming next year.
Yeah, or again, in a season where if we don't win 8 games, whether or not it's justified, you're going to hear a lot of people calling for Mike Norvell's head. And if you're going down the list of what do we really need to give us the best chance to get to 8 wins, man, there's a lot on that list above running back. We're going to need our defense to be good. We lost two of the most important players on the defense. Tried to replace them. Jared Verse, great pickup. Still could use some more though. And linebacker still, and offensive line and quarterback. You could just the list isn't short. We still need people to give us a great shot to make a pretty big leap to an 8-win team. And I don't know that I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm just confused. Real confused.
I will say in Mike's defense, one is January 18th, and you could still pick up transfer portal players until probably May or June. I know. So right now we're kind of me and Dave are a little negative Nancy's here, but it's super early. There's nothing else to talk about offseason, so this really is what we're going to be doing. Just analyzing the team as much as we can. But also, he did convince Jamie Robinson to come back, which is a huge pickup of the safety spot.
For sure.
He did pick up Fabian Lovett also to stay too as well for another year, which is to me probably even bigger than Jamie Robinson, because Fabian Lovett set the tone actually up the middle. And to me, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how we settle out actually with the portal, because Mike, for one thing, actually has done a great job with the portal. And as much as I said, that he has a lack of urgency or conservativeness, he does have the number 2 transfer class actually in the country right now for 2022 behind LSU. And that's only because LSU has one more player. So I think in his defense, it is super early to kind of like make a call right now. We're not doing that, but we're just trying to see how we're taking it on a day-by-day basis right now with how he's doing.
I just want to clarify, and I think I speak for myself and all of us at times when we're negative. We're just pointing out things that seem like they could be better. Anytime we say something negative, especially me, I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope I have to eat a giant plate of crow. And everything Mike Norvell does turns out to be right. And he never loses another game. And Florida State wins every national championship ever. Obviously, I hope that happens. Just there are still some things you can be critical of, regardless of what you still wanting the best interests of the team. Like, you're not being negative does not mean you don't want us to win.
Oh, no, exactly. And I'm right. And I think all 3 of us are kind of, that's what we try to do with the show. And that's how we enjoy ourselves. That's basically, it helps us get through the dark times, because
That's
now
how this started.
Very dark. That is literally how it started. For those of you that don't know, we were Noles Anonymous first. We were a support group helping Florida State fans, get through the Florida State fandom, and that's how we landed up over here. But listen, we all want FSU to do well. Just it's off season, but listen, we're here to have a good time, and now we are here to discuss basketball. But before we turn over to the hoops, let me remind you guys about our friends over at NetSuite. This is it, the putt to win the tournament. If you sink it, the championship is yours. But on your backswing, your hat falls over your eyes. Is this how you're running your business? Poor visibility because you're still relying on spreadsheets and outdated finance software? To see the full picture, you need to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. Folks, NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 cloud financial system to power your goods. Over 28,000 businesses already use NetSuite. For the new year, NetSuite has a new financing program for those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/locked, LOCKED. So head on over to netsuite.com/locked for a special one-of-a-kind financing offer on the #1 financial system for growing businesses at netsuite.com/locked. And folks, 93% of survey businesses have increased the visibility and control after upgrading to NetSuite. So head on over today to get ahead of the curve. Now that we have the gridiron out of the way, Dave, I'm going to hand the reins off to you because, this is a little bit more, this is our baby, but I feel you have a better grasp on the FSU hoops team as of right now. Dave, what's going on right now with FSU basketball?
Drake, Florida State is coming off an impressive run. A couple of weeks ago, or even a week ago, I think that we sat down and we were just depressed about the state of this team. It's not that we thought that this team couldn't do good. It's that a lot of the questions that we had and the doubts that we had about a fairly unproven team either seemed to be right, or it just seemed like we wouldn't figure it out in time this year. We bounced back, obviously, with two important wins in a row. First of all, we beat a Miami team that I said we were going to beat. You suck, in an extremely close game that I thought we should have won by a lot more than 1 point. But we followed that up with a good win over Syracuse. Those are two good back-to-back conference wins, especially beating Syracuse on the road. And we're coming into a big show me week after you're coming off 2 wins and you're getting to 10-5 on the season, and you're, I think, up to 4th in the ACC. You're at a pivotal point right now in the season where it feels like, okay, maybe you've started to figure some things out on the court. Maybe the chemistry is getting better. Maybe Leonard Hamilton is finally starting to get through to these kids. And this week, you can really blow that, or you can really cement your status atop the ACC for yet another year. Drake, 3 games in 5 days coming up. That's a tough slate. It doesn't matter who you're playing, but who are we playing, and what do you expect?
How do I reach these kids? That's literally what I thought of when you think Coach Ham talking to the kids. No, I think let's see. We played Duke. We played Duke tonight as of this recording. Yesterday as we were listening. I mean, I was with JJ Jackson for Locked On Blue Devils earlier this week. Discussed the game. I'm of the belief that Duke will probably beat us by 8 to 10 points because that Duke team is very talented with Paolo Banchero, Wendell Moore, and also it's Coach K's last year. They're kind of like on that revenge tour from the past season where they felt sort of immense expectations. And then we play a Miami team who actually, as of right now, last time I checked, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're beating UNC by 25 points, something along those lines.
It's not good. And don't forget, sandwiched in between those, we have a game against UNF on Thursday. So,
tough Ospreys. Jesus.
Yeah, this Duke team is one of the best of the last decade. This is definitely a heat check game for us. I don't go into this expecting to win. If we win, it's icing on the cake for us. If we keep this competitive, I know Miami just beat them, and I know we just beat Miami. So, like, do the math, like hangover math.
Transitive property.
Right.
Love
You
it.
tilted just this away. But no, this Duke team is ridiculous, and I expect them to be coming into this game pissed off and ready to prove a point. Duke typically has not done well recently in Tallahassee, and so we have that going for us. But one of these two teams is more talented than the other, and I expect to see that play out on the floor against Duke. That's I don't like being that guy, but I would give almost any number of points in that game. And this, you'll know the result by the time you're listening to this, but hopefully I'm wrong. And then, like you said, we'll get to Miami and I'll let you talk about that. UNF, I know it seems like that's got to be a gimme. That's going to end up being a must-win game. You can't, if we go out and lose to Duke, or we go out and win against Duke, you can't follow that up with a dud against UNF. It almost seems like a trap game sandwiched in between 2 conference games. And regardless of what we do against Duke, but especially if we lose, have to win that game going into another game against a Miami team higher on than I am.
Yeah, I'm actually big. I think this Miami team is the real deal. I am a huge fan of Isaiah Wong and Karen McGusty too. I think, what's the kid's name? I think his last name is Moore. I think it's Charlie Moore. I think is the kid's name. He hit the game-winning shot actually against Duke. It's just a team that plays fundamentally sound basketball. Also, they've been playing together for a while, so they're a bit older, which is something that we said about this FSU team at the beginning of the year, that they're younger and they have to learn to play together and adjust the college ranks to play big boy basketball. And to me, this FSU team is starting to kind of understand that. And I am always of the belief that you never know what your team truly is until middle of January. And right now, middle of January, we're seeing this FSU team, winning 3 in a row against a Miami, against an NC State, against the Syracuse, teams in the conference that we should be beaten as a new blood and hopefully potentially soon as a blue blood. The Duke
Right.
game, I don't think it's gonna be as big of a blow as you think, because I think it's a home game. And talking to JJ and talking to other Duke fans, every game at the Tuck is extremely close because it's a very difficult place to play, thanks to you, the fan. So to me, this Miami game, I think we take 2 out of 3. I do think we lose to Duke. I think the UNF game is gonna be treated kind of as not a scrimmage, but like a tune-up to actually go into the Miami game, because I think those two are much more attainable for this team as a whole. And then after that, we kind of have easier teams in Georgia Tech, I think, is one. And I think the other one, I think this escaped me right now. I think actually it's
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech, who is a very fraudulent team, in my personal opinion.
Right.
They are not a good team. We'll discuss that actually later this week when we just do dunks, dribbles, and dimes. But I am actually very high on this team right now. After kind of being a little down on them because they couldn't make any damn shots, and now they're finally riding out to the form of the team that we thought they could be.
Yeah, so if we beat the hell out of Duke, you're going to hear from us before long. We're going to do a little dunks, dribbles, and dimes segment well before we get to the end of this week.
Oh, we're going to be massive trolls.
Yeah, we'll be big on that front. But yeah, it would be unfortunate if we were to end this week 1-2. It's not something that's crazy unlikely, but it's not something that I think anybody would be accepting of. Like, you can't give up the momentum we have. If you want to make a tournament run, you want to be competitive in the ACC tournament, and you want to make the NCAA tournament, this is a big stretch. This is a big week. You can't go 1-2 this week. You just got to find a way.
You got to find a way, because that loss to South Carolina looks awful. Now, the loss to Wake Forest isn't as bad, because this Wake Forest basketball team is very, very damn good. But the loss to South Carolina, the loss to Florida, and the absolute drubbing by Purdue that we saw is not going to look good when we start doing bracketology. But I do have faith in this basketball team and in Coach Ham to turn things around. And I do expect us to, record 2 out of 3 wins, probably Saturday or Sunday. Hopefully we'll be able to drop that for you guys before the weekend is out. Or maybe we get 2 out of 3 and one of them is Duke. And you know what? I will take that with everything that I can have. So
if we beat Duke, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm just going to say that.
We will be back tomorrow. So, Dave, you have any final thoughts, basketball, football related, anything to send the folks home with?
Yeah. We got a big opportunity this week, folks. This is big. Like, people were feeling it last year. People were feeling it the year before about Florida State basketball. People were starting to be like, okay, well, we suck at football. At least there's basketball. I know some of you have fallen off that train. I'm not giving up. You shouldn't yet either. Leonard Hamilton's got us. Everybody relax.
I'm with Dave on this one. That's what we'd start the triple Ds, the dunks, dribbles, and dimes, that we are full support of Coach Ham. And we definitely believe he's going to be able to turn the ship around and, direct us right back to March Madness, right back to the Final 68. And I'm very excited to be there to that. And also, folks, thank you guys so much for the love and support. Don't forget, we listen to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast from. Don't forget to give us the 5-star reviews. Also, if you're watching this now on YouTube, as you can see our beautiful faces and my long beard that I definitely need to trim down, don't forget to hit the like button on this video, hit the subscribe banner up top, and ding the little bell so we never get any notifications, when a new video does drop. And as always, please comment. We love, hearing feedback. We love hearing things. And also, as always, you can see the theme. The theme was centered around your comments today. And trust us, we love fan engagement and fan, outreach. So with that being said, this was Drake. That was Dave. We'll see y'all next time on Locked On Seminoles, baby. Take care.
Kendall Broyles.